So it's big news after big news after big news. Will Bo Bichette resign as a Toronto Blue Jay? Well, we might have the answer for you.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sportsing like I want them to, but this summer FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Welcome back. I'm Braden Wasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5 Wasko, Carter First too. We got some big news. We have some huge news here. First off, if you guys want to keep up to date with all of the huge news, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, at Locked On Blue Jays. Twitter's, like I said, and drop a subscription on YouTube here. Keeps us at the top of your guys' page so that you guys know, when stuff drops, when things break, whatever. And it really helps us out too. Does us a solid. If you're listening everywhere else, really appreciate it. Hit up the links if you want to follow us on social media accounts as well. We put out a bunch of tweets. Trade deadline was nuts. I don't think I took 5 minutes away from my phone in the entirety of those bunch of days. Carter, I'm throwing it right to you. We need to hear about this Bo Bichette news, and I need to hear about it I needed it injected into me. That's how quickly I need it.
Yeah, this has been a huge storyline throughout the entire season. Are we going to extend Vladdy? Are we going to extend Bo Bichette? And this narrative, just especially with the way Bo Bichette has been playing, a lot of people are saying, oh, they want to see Bo Bichette go. They wanted to see him traded at the trade deadline. Again, I'm not in on selling people at their lowest points. But again, this conversation is coming to the surface once again due to Ben Nicholson-Smith. This guy is a very respectable guy that covers the Toronto Blue Jays. A very respected analyst, a guy that is usually right when he says these things. So he has a little bit of insight. He went on a podcast and he was talking about Bo Bichette and the possibility of an extension with the Toronto Blue Jays. So he says there's no path to an extension for Bo Bichette. He won't be expended. He might be traded in the offseason. These two are very far apart on their deals. So it's just another shot at Bo Bichette. And again, this narrative has been going on this entire season. This probably would be a lot different if Bo Bichette was playing up to par. And maybe if he was playing up to par and he made it clear to the Toronto Blue Jays that he didn't want to have an extension, they might have traded him at this trade deadline. Obviously, it came up before that people close to him, his friends were saying that he wants out of Toronto. Again, it's for me initially, I didn't see this as being real. Again, the friends thing, it's not a reliable source. Like, I'm not taking any merit from that. Now that Ben Nicholson-Smith has said it, I don't know if he's looking for clicks. I don't know if maybe he knows some insider. He's got some guys that are picking Bo Bichette's brain, but not necessarily what you want to hear from your all-star shortstop.
No, and I mean, is this out of left field? No. Like you said, there's been rumors, there's been talks. This hurts if this is true. This sets the team back a ton. And you hate to say that because, yes, Bo Bichette didn't have a good season. But the odds of Bo Bichette having a good season are very high. On a comeback year, I think it's very likely that Bo Bichette will have a successful 2025. And if we're looking at this into next year with this team without Bo Bichette, oh my goodness, this team's hurting, to say the very least. And like I said, to say the very least. This is going to be tough on this team. And it sounds like you said, Ben Nicholson-Smith is very highly regarded when it comes to Blue Jays news and information. So usually I would say take these things with a grain of salt, but this you just can't. This you almost have to take like it's gold, which sucks, dude. This just upsets me. I think that this team gets not even significantly worse. This team gets completely, if you thought maybe they had a chance for the playoffs next season, wipe it from your mind. There's only so much that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. can do by himself. You need Bo Bichette. You needed him to be good this season. And, well, you wish he would have been good next season, but it looks like that's not in the cards. This team is successful when you have a very good George Springer, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Bo Bichette. They can carry this team. And I don't mean carry it, but they're supposed to be your superstars. So we're left with a George Springer that is one of the most inconsistent players of all time. He had the worst start to a season I've ever seen in my life. You have Vlad, who is just a rock all the time. He is nuts. He is so good. And who else, Carter? And we'll get into more so what the lineup is right now in our next segment here. But just this news, like if Bo Bichette leaves, where does this leave this team? Honest to God.
Yeah, if Bo Bichette leaves, it's probably going to be an offseason trade. Well, it has to be an offseason trade. Obviously, the trade deadline is passed, so Bo Bichette will not be moved. But again, there's a bunch of different ways that you can handle this. Again, this all depends on whether Bo Bichette actually wants to leave, whether Ross Atkins and the management want Bo Bichette to be traded. They want to get some assets back for Bo Bichette. So obviously, the easiest fix is just Bo Bichette remains with the Toronto Blue Jays. He stays in the offseason. Maybe they trade him at the trade deadline, depending on how this team works out. If they really want to retool and actually compete for 2025, trading Bo Bichette in the offseason makes absolutely zero sense. That is the opposite of what you want to do if you want to compete for 2025. You have a guy that's led the AL in hits multiple times, the league in hits multiple times. You're not willing to trade that if you want a chance to play the playoffs and make a run in the playoffs in 2025. So that's the obvious one. If you want to compete, then you keep Bo Bichette. Then there's the flip side of things. If Bo Bichette wants out, maybe you want to trade Bo Bichette. You're kind of thinking this retool might not work out. You want to wait a couple more years, maybe try for 2026. That's very hard to say because right now we're like 9 months away from any sort of hope, honestly. I guess you get the offseason, maybe some free agent signings, bring a little bit of hope to us. But for meaningful baseball, like we're waiting until next March, which is definitely tough to see. Say Bo Bichette is traded. He does want out of Toronto. You probably do want to do that in the offseason. You're going to get more from a full year of Bo Bichette rather than 2.5 months of Bo Bichette. Again, Bo Bichette is going to get a haul back no matter what, especially if he does bounce back next season. But the thing is, if you want to trade Bo Bichette in the offseason, he's got this calf strain, whatever it is, his calf problems the entire season. Say he gets healthy, he comes back, and he does even worse than he did throughout the first 2-3 months of the season. That trade stock is going to drop even farther. Or he comes back and he's healthy and he plays really good. Maybe brings that draft or trade stock. I'm saying draft stock to Trey Savage. We'll get into that in the second segment. But the trade stock will go even higher. And then maybe you get more for Bo Bichette in the offseason. Maybe you are able to sell high. And the concerns about is Bo Bichette going to be back to regular Bo Bichette? They're going to be laid out in front of everyone. They're going to see that Bo Bichette is still going to be a real good MLB player. Again, if anyone's doubting Bo Bichette and his talents in the MLB, you're absolutely ridiculous. So Ross Atkins, the only way he's going to make this move is if he gets a haul back. And again, say Bo Bichette's traded. You would have loved to see Elvis Martinez playing in this back half of the season. It would have been perfect opportunity for him. You have all these reps at shortstop. You can play second base. You can play wherever. You see what you get from your second-rated prospect. But no, he has to be suspended for performance-enhancing drugs. Not exactly what you want. Then Ernie Clement will still be here. Leo Jimenez, again, you got to see how this transpires down the stretch, and maybe that impacts this Bo Bichette trade. If you see some good stuff from Leo Jimenez, obviously Raul Martinez isn't going to be in that picture, but Ernie Clement, maybe you sign a free agent in the offseason. Again, I'd probably trade Bo Bichette instead of signing a shortstop. So you're kind of showing your hand a little bit in that situation, but there's a ton of things that would be considered if they are planning on moving Bo Bichette.
The one thing I want to look at, Carter, when it comes down to this and in the news we received is that what's the conversation going like? In my head, this isn't about the money. I don't think this is about them not being able to come to a decision on money, because I think that if that was the case, the Blue Jays would hand over the bag to a guy that, especially for this management group who wants to compete next season, this cannot be about the money. To me, this is about 100% Bo Bichette not wanting to be in Toronto, not wanting to be a part of this team. He doesn't see a future here, which hurts for a guy who was developed all throughout, Toronto's system. But in my head, that's the only thing that makes sense when it comes down to them not being close on a discussion or whatever they said there, whatever Ben said. So in my head, I don't think that there's anything right now that can change Bo Bichette's mind. He doesn't see this as a winning team, so he wants out. He wants to go win somewhere, and you can see it on his face, right? You can see he wants to win. He wants to compete. I want to throw it back to this clip. I think it was the Monday episode of the trade deadline. Me and Dallin sort of went back and forth with you, Carter, about the care that looked like Bo Bichette was giving this season. This takes me right back to that. This is probably a bad time for this to come out when everybody's questioning maybe the character of Bo Bichette. And I think that it's exactly what me and Dow were saying. I know you argued it a little bit, which was, it was fair. I think the argument at the time was fair. Now looking back, I think you got to be, this guy probably had made this decision 6 months ago, or at the, after the first 3 weeks of the season when nothing was going right for this team. I think he doesn't see a future here, Carter.
See, again, I'm not like, maybe he doesn't see a future with the Toronto Blue Jays, but I'm not saying that he doesn't care about his performance on the field. Like, you go to another team, yeah, you get that fresh start, it's different, but managers can see if you're not caring, if you're not trying, you're not actually giving a crap out there. But with Bo Bichette, again, it's tough to be positive when you're struggling so heavily. So for Bo Bichette, I do agree on what you said about Bo Bichette maybe not seeing a future here because he doesn't want to play on a rebuilding team. So I'm going to throw something back after I kind of go off on Bo Bichette a little bit here. Bo Bichette, like, just advertises fans for Bo Bichette, for Vladdy. You look at how this team was brought up. You look at the rebuild we went through. You looked at how 2020-ish to 2026, honestly, was supposed to be. You have all these supporting pieces. You have Kevin Gosman, you have Chris Bassett, you have Jose Brios. You have this entire supporting cast, or pitching, starting pitching especially, is unbelievable. Bullpen, you can't really say that this season. But you have the supporting cast. Vladdy is 25. Bo Bichette's 26. They're supposed to be in their primes. It's supposed to be the opportunity for the Toronto Blue Jays to compete for a World Series. Maybe at this point already have won a World Series, the way reporters and analysts were talking. But now here we are. We're selling at the 2024 trade deadline. Obviously, part of that is due to Bo Bichette. Part of that's due to George Springer. A lot of that is due to Ross Atkins and how he constructed this team. But is Bo Bichette going to want to waste his prime on a team that's rebuilding and going to probably be rebuilding for the next 5 years? So again, what I want to ask you is this retool notion from the front office. Is that, again, this could be compartmentalized. This could be multiple things going on here. Is it just for the fans? So the fans are still believing in this team. Is it for the players as well, like Bo Bichette, like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., guys that haven't signed extensions? Give them a chance to say, like, hey, we're actually still trying to compete. We're not going to rebuild. We want you guys to stay here. Is that a little bit more incentive for them to not just run away and sign a contract in probably a nicer city, somewhere like Los Angeles, maybe San Francisco, teams that have been linked to Bo Bichette? Would this be a reason why they could be trying to advocate for them to stay?
100% that's what they're doing. You say the fans thing, but Rodgers knows that they're going to have butts in seats no matter what. This is all a bunch of BS that they hope that they can somehow figure out a way to keep Bo Bichette and Vlad sticking around. And I think when you look at the difference between Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is, for one, Vladdy wants to be in the spotlight. He wants the fans to love him more than anybody else, and you can see it by the way he acts on the field. That's who he is. He's the superstar. Bo Bichette sees through the BS. That's what I think. I think Vlad has the starstruck still in him, where he wants to be this star. He wants to carry a team to wherever. Bo Bichette sees through it. I think he sees through this management group. He sees that they're not going to win and they're not going to get the pieces that they need to win. And so as much as I, yes, am dogging Bo Bichette on wanting to leave, can I necessarily blame him? No, not really. If I had Ross Atkins spewing garbage into my ear for an entire season, even longer than that, eventually you got to catch on. And I think that's what happened here with Bo Bichette. He understands that with this group, they aren't going to win. So I think he's got his a little bit, I don't know, future seeing glasses on here and sees I got to get out when I can. So I'm not wasting my years here playing for a losing team or a team that's not even making the playoffs. Never mind winning a World Series. No shot. And if Bo Bichette leaves, Carter, like I said earlier, this team is a dumpster fire. Yes, the prospect haul we got back in return, great. That is great for a rebuild, right? And if you get more guys from Bo Bichette's trade, great. But then do you might as well trade Vlad? That's the next question. If Bo Bichette gets traded, do you say, well, fire sale, here we go. We have to commit to a full rebuild now? I think that's what it means.
I think you're crazy if you're trading Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I said that on the trade deadline episode. I'll say it again now. If Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette aren't on this team is going to be like the next Chicago White Sox. There's literally nothing to get excited about anyone on this team. At that point, you're trading Kevin Gausman, you're trading Chris Bassett. You are trading the entire farm. This team will just have nothing left. So I don't think that's even a possibility. I don't think you trade Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at all. There'd be no incentive to go to games.
I agree with you. I'm not discrediting that. But if you trade Bo Bichette, you tell me for 1 second that this team is winning a World Series.
Well, that's even the argument right now, is that even if you have Bo Bichette, is this team equipped to win a World Series of how much talent there is in the AL East, even just compared to the AL, the NL, all this kind of thing. So that's a narrative that we're probably going to be talking about for a very long time on this podcast.
Yeah, and that's part of it, right? Is that you can't win a World Series with Bo Bichette. Without Bo Bichette, this team's a dumpster fire.
You might as well try to. Bichette.
What's that?
Can't even win a playoff game with Bo Bichette.
Exactly. So when, as fans, do we have to start maybe thinking of this realistically? Yes, I said I think if Bo Bichette and Vlad and Springer and Gausman and Bassett and whoever else you want to throw in there, who did I miss? Barrios, whatever.
Is a big one,
yeah. If you have all these pieces, there is a core to build around. Without Bo Bichette, I don't think that there's enough of a core here to quote unquote retool around. I think this sets them on a course for a full-blown rebuild, or we're going to be in the mushy middle disaster zone for many more years to come.
I mean, there's also the argument that Bo Bichette's 26, Vladdy's 25. Have they actually reached their primes yet? A lot of MLB players don't reach their primes till 28, 29, even into their 30s. So these two are both very young. Even like, for example, Joey Lopervito is 25 years old.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly when his birthday is, but Vladdy's also 25 years old. So again, these guys are so young and they can still be very good for the future. Even again, you would have to get Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on board, at least signing some sort of contract extension throughout the next couple of years. Because again, you can be good in 2025. I don't know if you're good enough necessarily to win a World Series, but 2026, 2027, you should have guys coming up. Obviously, they got all these prospects. Again, they're not sure things. A lot of things can happen. But again, these guys are young. You still have time to build around them. This isn't like end all be all. It doesn't have to be anyway, but it very much depends on the way that this front office does manage these guys. And I got one more thing to say before you jump in here. And it's just about how Ross Atkins and the front office at least treated Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. So again, it's from Ben Nicholson-Smith. Again, a guy that's very respectable among analysts. He says he asked the Blue Jays if the Blue Jays considered trading Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or Bo Bichette and to Ross Atkins on Zoom, and he said not close. It was never our intention to trade either one of them. So obviously he said this multiple times that he doesn't want to trade players that aren't on expiring contracts, especially Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. I think he does see the value in them. It really all depends if Bo Bichette and then also Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But right now we're talking about Bo Bichette. Really depends on if Bo Bichette wants to be here.
Yeah, my last thing, Carter, is that I want to sort of go back to what I was saying. I do not want Vladimir Guerrero Jr. traded. Let's make that clear. I just don't see an option in the next few years without Bo Bichette that you win a World Series. So in my thinking as the management group in Toronto, is then do you fire sale everything? Not so much that I personally want Vladimir Guerrero Jr., because then, yeah, why are you going to games? You're going to go watch a bunch of guys hit 10 home runs a season and get 35, well, I was going to say 35 wins, 45 wins maybe? Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So, no, I'm still on board with keeping Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I just think looking at it as the management team here, from the Jays, I think that that's maybe where the heads go next if Bo Bichette does decide to leave.
That would be just an insane move by this front office. Obviously, at that point, Ross Atkins would be gone. We obviously believe on this podcast he should be gone. That's another debate. There's so many things that we're going to be talking about over and over and over again on this podcast, because that's kind of where we're at with Toronto Blue Jays baseball. 2024 is kibosh. There's nothing really to look forward to other than, I guess, some of these prospects getting playing time. Maybe you see Jonathan Clase, maybe you see Jake Bloss, you'll see Joey Lopervito. There is some sort of benefits to this, but again, well, yeah, we've kind of beaten this to death a little bit. We got to see how they deal with Bo Bichette. We'll see if he ends up even playing for the rest of the season. That's going to be something that has to be carefully managed. But again, we got a bunch more things to go into. Trey Savage, how the opening lineup has changed compared to right now, especially the other day, the last game of the Baltimore Orioles series. one of those lineups you're going to look back at and be like, how did this even happen? So we're going to get into all this stuff coming up after this short break.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as, of course, the playoffs have wound down in the NHL and NBA, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever, wherever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. Today, huge win for me. Huge day for me. I bet on the Bombers last night. Big win. Even though I bet on the Oliveira over 70 yards. And I bet on some MLB games that weren't Toronto baseball because they didn't play yesterday. So, and those won me money. So maybe that's what I got to start doing. Just keeping the Jays out of the mindset, bet on other teams. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer.
Today's episode is also sponsored by Supply House. Get the supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trade, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the most reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful products and resources that give you the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can help you get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com.
So, Carter, we got a bunch of stuff to go over still, but we're going to try to keep it tight. We took that first segment super long, but it's important. It's an important discussion, and we want your guys' thoughts as well. So make sure you guys leave us a comment. Do you think Bo Bichette's going to leave? Do you think he's going to stay? Do you think he'll get traded? What's the outcome if the trade does happen? We want to hear it all from you guys. Maybe we'll put them all together and we'll react to some of them maybe on the Monday episode. So maybe think of your thoughts over the weekends. Come back to the video. Leave us that comment. We want to know. Carter, let's go. Let's get into it. Trey Savage signs with the Toronto Blue Jays. We've been waiting for it, haven't we?
Yeah, he was one of the last ones to sign. There's two guys that needed to sign. Trey Savage obviously does sign with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's supposed to be ranked between the 3rd and 6th prospects for the Jays. A guy that just slipped in the draft. A guy that was supposed to go top 10, top 15, ends up going to the Toronto Blue Jays in the top 20, which is massive. A pitching prospect that is a college arm that should be ready in the next 2 to 3 years. So it kind of helps with the Toronto Blue Jays lately. Like in the last couple drafts, they've drafted high school arms. High school arms, again, very high upside because half these guys are 17, 18 years old, haven't really developed too much yet. College pitchers, you kind of know more what you're dealing with, and they can help you out a lot quicker. So first rounder, Trey Savage, signs with the Blue Jays for $4,177,500. The slot value there is $4,073,400, so just over $100,000. It's just a huge signing. Again, a guy that has very high upside. His fastball sits from between 93 and 98 miles per hour. He throws a slider, a cutter, a splitter. Just a pretty good pitch mix. Going to be fun to watch Trey Savage have an impact on the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, he's a guy that's also, Carter, what I really like out of pitchers is high emotion guys, right? He gets fired up on the mound. I went back and I found some clips of him, and he gets heated up on the mound, dude. Like, he's a guy that just brings the energy, sort of a guy. I don't even know who's a good guy to compare him to right now, but like when Jordan Romano wins the game, you just see him just, the lunatic eyes. That's sort of what Trey Savage has as well. So he'll be a really, really fun guy to watch one day. So, again, hopefully sooner rather than later, but you never know when these guys or if these guys will pan out. But he's a guy that I'm super, super excited for and super excited to watch in a Jays uniform.
Absolutely. And I just want to quickly go over what slot value means. So it's pretty much just the recommended value from the MLB, depending on where you draft. Say you draft 10, your slot value is going to be a lot higher. You draft 25, it's going to be a lot lower. Just a recommended amount. You want it to be sort of close to there based off previous drafts, stuff like that. So with Trey Savage, again, going to be a highly touted prospect. Hopefully does work out for the Toronto Blue Jays. I believe he's 20 years old, right-handed pitcher. So again, Ricky Tiedemann, I think, is 21. So you kind of see his timeline there. Was supposed to pitch this season. Obviously, injuries, stuff like that didn't allow him to. So hopefully, Trey Savage, obviously probably not going to play for the Toronto Blue Jays 2025. 2026 might be a possibility, even 2027. So looking at these prospects, the top 30 prospects came out for the Toronto Blue Jays list. I'm just going to go over these quickly. Again, we're going to talk about prospects probably for a decent amount in the next couple of weeks. So we got Jake Bloss, newly acquired, third-ranked prospect now. We have Jonathan Clase, who is the number 8. Just going over some other ones. We have Charles McAdoo is at 14. Just looking through. Edison Paulino, 21. Cutter Coffee, 29. RJ Schreck, 30. So again, a lot of names from this trade deadline that you're seeing on this top prospect list. Another one is Joey Lopervito. That obviously is an MLB talent. So he's in the MLB right now. Another player that's going to bolster this Toronto Blue Jays squad. But again, are you excited that all these trade deadline pieces are in the top 30, or does that just show you how bad the Toronto Blue Jays farm system was before this trade deadline?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, right? It excites me because a lot of them were highly touted prospects within their own systems. So when you move it over to the Toronto Blue Jays system, yeah, they might be a little bit inflated for sure. But a lot of these guys, were highly touted prospects. So am I happy to have them in our system? Absolutely. I love this. They needed to replenish their system, and they did with this draft. Yes, a couple more guys wouldn't hurt, but for now, I think it's really good when we see some of these, younger guys come in. Cal Steven, Johnny King, Nick Mitchell, and Trey Savage, obviously, when they get going as well. So that'll be fun to watch. But Carter, I think let's move right in. You've been waiting to do this, and I keep pushing it back on you. But let's get in. We're going to take a look at the lineup from the start of the season to now. So I'm going to quickly go over what the lineup looked like at the very beginning of this season, and then Carter will shoot us with the one that it is now. Let's start it off. George Springer, then Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette at 3, Justin Turner, Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, surprisingly, because Danny Jansen was out at that time, Kevin Kiermaier, IKF, and Kevin Biggio. So you don't even see Davis Schneider in there because he was still getting sort of shafted with playing time at the start of this season. And now, of course, he got really hot again, and now he's sort of cooled right down. So, Carter, hit me with what the lineup looks like now.
And again, this isn't the everyday lineup for the Toronto Blue Jays. I just thought this was very funny because at one point in that last Baltimore Orioles game, this was the starting lineup for the Toronto Blue Jays. So you got Luis De Los Santos, a guy that just called up. We didn't really have a lot of time to talk about him, an infielder that's been with the Toronto Blue Jays, I believe, since 2016. One of the longest tenure Blue Jays now, with Danny Jansen and Tim Mason no longer being on the team. But finally gets his call. He was leading off for a little bit of this game. Joey Lopervito, obviously you got him in the trade. Leo Jimenez hitting 3, Spencer Horwitz hitting 4, Ernie Clement hitting 5, Stuart Baroa hitting 6, Davis Schneider hitting 7, Addison Barger hitting 8, and Brian Servant hitting 9. So at one point in this last game the Toronto Blue Jays played, they had 0 of their opening day starters playing. Absolutely insane. How did the Toronto Blue Jays get here? A lot of underperforming players, a lot of underperforming arms. It was so hard to just watch this line and be like, this is where we're at now. This is Toronto Blue Jays baseball. And it's probably going to be some sort of variation of this lineup a lot of times, obviously with George Springer in there. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Dalton Varsho is going to be playing. But overall, there's just going to be so many names that, especially if you haven't watched Toronto Blue Jays baseball in a long time, you're probably going to be like, who even is this guy?
Yeah, and even I catch myself doing that too. It's like I expect Bo Bichette to be in the lineup. I expect Danny Jansen to be in the lineup. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. This sucks. And does it ever? Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to sort of watch the rest of this season. And, I'm going to have fun with it personally. I'm going to try to learn more about some of these players. Me and you, I hope we know more than like the average fan on some of these guys.
I would say we do for sure.
Yeah. But, I throw it to you guys, the listeners. Watch these guys, learn something about them, because some of these guys will be Toronto Blue Jays in the future. And yes, this sucks now, but what's the point of trying to roll out your best team when you're going to get killed anyway? So hopefully some of these young guys can show us something at all. I don't even care, even if they get first guy gets his first major league home run. I'm going to celebrate it a little bit. Be like, okay, maybe this guy's got something. So just keep an eye out for stuff like that, little things, right? I mean, you can't expect anything now. The season's over. Sorry if I just shattered your world there, but it sucks. It does suck. Carter, I don't know, man. I'm just sort of, I just want to get back to watching baseball. I feel like my head's been in the trade deadline for the past week and a half here. So I'm just excited to get back. Okay, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Yeah, I'm not going to be as focused on the brand of baseball. Again, I'm just going to expect the Toronto Blue Jays to lose most of the time, and then I'll be pleasantly surprised when they do win. But I will say, if Joey Lopervito has a home run, we are probably going to overreact so heavily, be overexcited. He might just be the best player in all of baseball at that very moment. But one more thing before we do head into this Yankee series preview. Toronto Blue Jays got 13 prospects at the trade deadline. I didn't really talk to you about this at all before this episode, but again, pretty easy question to answer, but I am interested to see what you say. So 13 prospects. How many of these prospects are you hoping develop to be MLB players? Or how many do you actually think? Because you're hoping all of them do. But realistically, you have 13 prospects. You're probably going to miss on a lot of these prospects. What number would you be happy with if they do develop into MLB talent? I guess we won't include Joey Lopervito, so we'll say 12.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, for me, Jake Bloss will play 100%. I think Cutter Coffey will get some time. I think Will Wagner will get some time. I think Will Wagner might actually even get time this season.
But will they be good and like for the future, not just this season? Like let's talk about like 2028 type.
Okay, so who will we see? Okay, I mean, it's a shot in the dark with prospects. You're realistically hoping that 3 of these guys, maybe 4, are somewhat usable in the MLB. I do have really high hopes for Jake Bloss personally. He's my guy that like he might be my new ride or die, fan. Like I might be buying his jersey at some point because I'm one of those guys. So I pray that he's good. I'll leave it at that. I'll pray that Jake Bloss is good. But I will say 3 or 4.
Yeah, I was going to say 3. I think 3 would be a solid number for the Toronto Blue Jays because hopefully at that point you still have Vladdy, you still have Bo. Hopefully Dalton Varsho can figure it out a little bit. That'd be another guy. And then again, 3 of your prospects. Joey Lopervito, we didn't necessarily include in this. Hopefully he's there as well. It's hard to calculate prospects, especially when you haven't seen a lot of them play baseball. But like these guys that are playing in high A, double A, I'm not watching their games on the regular. Yeah, I'll see some highlights here and there, but AAA I'll follow a lot more closely because they can have an impact on the Toronto Blue Jays and then obviously the MLB team you're going to watch. But overall, Jake Bloss, I hope that guy works out. I really do. But there's been way higher touted prospects that have looked way better than Jake Bloss and have had horrible MLB careers. So nothing is given to you in the MLB. Things can change so fast. Just ask Tim Meza and his stats this season. So we got a Yankee series to preview. Again, it's going to go bad. They just swept the Phillies. We'll get into that a lot more after this. But again, just want to throw it over to the Locked On 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today, the Amazon Fire TV's channel app. NFL football happened yesterday. Again, it was a Hall of Fame game. I don't even think they played the full game. 5th stringers, I don't care. It's nice to be back. MLB, NHL offseason, bunch of stuff going on. Check it out. Expert analysis, 4 a.m., 4 p.m. It's 24/7. So whenever you want to tune in, perfect opportunity to check out. Yeah, we got the Yankee series. Hopefully we win a game. It's kind of where I'm at. We'll break it down after the short break.
Today's episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. Liquid IV, I never really knew a ton about, and then I tried it. And might be my saving grace of all time. I feel like 90% of the time, I'm the most dehydrated person on the planet. And then Liquid IV comes in and saves my life pretty much. I feel so back, just re-energized, reinvigorated. And that's all thanks to Liquid IV. And it's super easy, right? I can have a water bottle. I peel it open, pour it in, done. I'm good for the day. Especially, you have a good night out with the buddies. Maybe you stay up a little bit too late. Maybe 1 or 2 pops. You throw that Liquid IV in and you're good to go. Powered by LIV HydroSense, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. So, Carter, I feel like I start all these next segments off with So Carter. I might try to switch that up. Maybe I'll just go like Carter. I don't know. I'll figure it out.
That was very creative there. Right on the spot. Very inventive.
Hey, right off the dome, my guy. Right off the dome. We have a series to preview here with the Yankees. You're probably in the same boat I am. I don't care, really. That might be terrible to say. I don't care. I'm going to have it on. Like, so Friday, I'm going golfing, Carter. You were come, but you actually have to like work a normal job like a human being.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. So I'll be tuned in. I should be back just by like 4:30. Have a couple beers, throw on the game, maybe pay half attention to it. We'll see. And then the Saturday, I mean, we're golfing at I think what is it, 12:30?
Yeah, so we got a little bit of time in the morning.
Yeah, we got some time in the morning, and we got and the game's on at 12. So I just got a new speaker, portable speaker, which I've been dying to get a new one. So me and Carter, I guess we'll probably just ride together since we're probably doing a scramble, and we'll have the game on. Obviously on one of our phones, on hooked up to the speaker, blasting the Blue Jays game while trying to shoot under 120. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be interesting. And then obviously Sunday, the Yankees and Blue Jays play at 12:35 again. Some afternoon games for the boys on the weekend. I ain't hating on that at all.
Yeah, I can't really complain other than, the Yankees sweeping the Phillies and the Toronto Blue Jays losing 3-4 to the Baltimore Orioles. But hey, we swept the Texas Rangers. That's almost the same thing. Phillies are just the best team in the NL, and the Texas Rangers, I believe, are under 500. It's going to be tough to watch, man. Aaron Judge is so good. Juan Soto's so good. Jazz Chisholm, he's Barry Bonds now. He had 4 home runs in 3 games as a New York Yankee. It's absolutely insane. But I don't know if you have the pitching probables.
I do. I have 2
of you right now. I'm pretty sure Garrett Cole it's to be determined. I did look at it before, but I don't have it pulled up. I'm pretty sure Garrett Cole will pitch that Sunday, or he has been linked to the Friday as well. So they might push him back. But overall, I'll let you break down what they have on probably the MLB website, I'm assuming you're looking at.
Yeah, so Friday, August 2nd, obviously tomorrow or today, I guess when you're listening to this that's actually today for us as well. It's so early in the morning. Kevin Gausman versus Marcus Stroman. That's going to be a fun one to watch. You get the Stro show back. You got to love it. I still root for this guy. I hate to say that. Ex-Blue Jay, he was just so good, man. I just still have a special place in my heart for him. This Saturday is Jose Barrios versus Rodon. That should be something too. Honestly, I hate to say it, like the pitching is where we can still see some heat, right? We can still see something, a glimmer of hope because our pitching staff is still pretty good.
Until we get to the bullpen.
And yeah, well, of course. Yeah, let's just come on. I'm trying to find something here, and then the Sunday, there's nothing set yet. Garrett Cole has been rumored about the Sunday, but there's been nothing confirmed. So I'll sort of leave it there. I don't know, Carter. I don't got to go too crazy into this. I'm just hoping to see some interesting baseball, some good stuff from these young guys, and hopefully the pitchers keep it going with, I don't know, they have probably no hope either because what do you expect from this team to help you out? So it might just all go bad, but we're here. We're watching baseball.
See, I got our newest World Series for this weekend. It's the Aaron Judge versus Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Bowl. Who is the bigger dog? Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been better since the All-Star break. He's been one of the best hitters in all of baseball, but Aaron Judge has 39 home runs. He's no slacker either. He's probably going to launch, especially off this bullpen. I'd put money on it that Judge is probably going to launch off Yari Rodriguez. Because I want to go into this quickly. Jackson Holliday, again, he's going to be a good player. He's a great prospect. But so many people are hitting that pitch that he hit out for a grand slam. That was a slider right over the middle. Yari Rodriguez has no idea where the ball's going. He's just so frustrating to watch. But again, I'm still getting frustrated. The Toronto Blue Jays suck. Like, I know they suck, but it doesn't matter. They're sucking even worse with Yari Rodriguez on the mound. But Aaron Judge, if Jackson Holliday can launch a ball like 430 off of Yari Rodriguez, Aaron Judge is going to hit it out of the goddamn stadium. Like,
it's going to the moon.
It's going to 500 feet. It's probably just not going to land until maybe like the Wednesday of the next week. But again, that's what we're going to get excited about. It's going to be the Vladdy versus Aaron Judge Bowl. Hopefully Vladdy can win that and to get some more home runs. And then next year, or when the Yankees are in the playoffs and lose in the first round, we'll be like, hey, remember when Vladdy beat Aaron Judge? That was pretty cool. That's all I got, though. I mean, other than that, like, good pitching matchups, but you get to the bullpen, you're probably going to see some prospects. That's cool, I guess. That's where we're at with Toronto Blue Jays baseball.
That's where we're at, man. That's where we're at. People ask me all the time. They're like, how do you guys stay tuned in? It's just a love for the game. That's what I say. I got to come up with something. We'll say it's a love of the game. But as always, guys, we want to thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. Your second listen, though, should be enjoying Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs, which the Blue Jays won't be in. And especially because we're in the dog days of summer right now. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully as well, who is it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Anything else, my man? You just excited for some good golf this weekend? We gotta dial it in. We got a tournament like next weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited for golf. I don't know if I'm excited for Blue Jays baseball, but I'm definitely going to be watching it. Leave comments on how you feel about the Bo Bichette stuff. Do you want him to remain a Toronto Blue Jay? Do you think Ben Nicholson-Smith is right? Do you think he's just kind of pulling stuff out of left field? Leave us some comments on that. Again, I always say on this podcast, my favorite part about having this podcast is the debates that we get to engage in. Whether you agree with us, whether you don't agree with us, whether you think we're idiots, whether you think we're the greatest people of all time. Hope you're thinking more so on that end of the spectrum. But again, it's always so fun just seeing the different perspectives. Whether you love the Blue Jays, you hate the Blue Jays, you hate watching the Blue Jays. So it's one of those things. But the comments, like, subscriptions, especially because of the trade deadline, has been awesome to see. If you guys are coming back, watching our videos all the time anyway, subscribing helps you keep our videos at the top of our page. And also, we very much appreciate it. Other than that, yeah, let's kick it off into the weekend.
Couple beers, maybe?
Yeah, well, to watch Blue Jays games, and you need probably at least 4 to get through a game. So
4. I mean, I'll have 6, but if any of you know that reference, just let me know. It's so good. It's so good. Anyway, talk to you guys later.